All right, so it is 8:41 p.m. Thursday, February 22nd, 2024. Today I attempted to replace the trailing arms on the rear suspension of my car and ultimately I was able to get the nut loose, but not the bolt. And the bolt goes through a piece and you have to take the bolt out of the piece to be able to get the part that I'm replacing off and put the new one on. Uh, just about overheated it was getting very hot, but I don't think I burned out or anything, but I had an electric impactor that wasn't working, and the handheld cordless one certainly wasn't working. And using a 3-ton jack with a breaker bar underneath of it and trying to lift that up to make it, all it did was lift the car. So I'm gonna have to figure out a situation, find somebody with the lift that'll let me get the car up on it so I can hang like my full body weight on a thing and try and crack it loose or something. But this was definitely not happening in my driveway today. Um, my neighbor came over, asked if I needed help, brought a couple of tools that ultimately I decided not to use because I didn't want to use a 12-point box wrench around the nut while lowering the weight of the car onto the wrench to see if I could break it loose. I wanted to have specifically a 6-sided one because there's that much less chance of rounding the bolt. And so that's not in the forecast anytime soon. So anyways, I did manage to tighten up my sway bar links that I'd installed and attempt to reposition my brake line that I replaced. I had some hose that I replaced about 2 months ago that I don't know if this is the wrong hose or what the deal is, but the hose was rubbing up against the rim of the car and carving a little notch in the side of the hose. So here sometime this weekend, I'll probably have to get another hose and replace it and try and figure out a slightly more permanent solution than some bent clothes hanger to hold this thing in place, because the bracket that it's supposed to attach to would not come off, and I ended up scrapping that. So anyways, that was today's big failure. Went and got some Subway in town and came back. And while I was on the way into town, I noticed that the law enforcement were pulling over like every silver car. My car's silver. Thankfully, I did not get pulled over. Not that I was doing anything illegal, but I just always appreciate it when I don't have to stop and pull over and exercise my rights with the officers to the point that they fuck off, because there's no reason to pull me over. So anyways, got done with that, got back here, ate my food, took a shower, and I was listening to Timcast IRL, and they were talking about this supposed cyber attack that occurred today. But I am definitely leaning more toward the solar flare side of things. And if you should have seen my video from yesterday. There's the one that says somebody pick up the phone because I called it, which is pointing out the fact that at a time that I was recording the thunderstorm footage and remarking on how it seemed like it was about diametric opposite of the planet from where the sun is at, and that if there was a flare going on, that would explain the random thunderstorm where there was no thunderstorm forecast. So let's pull this up real quick. Okay, well, this isn't going to let me. Wow. Gonna have some interesting research to do here. So here's the thing. I hope you can see that. This. Oh, is that gonna. And that doesn't work. Hope you can see this here. This is a flare that took place in the morning. This is a flare that took place. This took place in the afternoon when I chose not to do the car repairs. This second spike took place during the same time as the thunderstorm. That is the pick up the phone, I called it flare. And you can see that one is a little bit longer duration into the M range. This one had a little spike on it, and I wish I could zoom this in, but it's really not letting me do it. Let's see if I can. Desktop site. There we go. Now I should be able to. Still not. Oh, what a piece of crap. Anyways, what you're seeing here is the M flare that cracked off right before an X 6.37. You'll see here that these lines just drop off. The flare that actually appears almost to the top of this line above X, about 60% to the top from the M line to the X line. That empty spot there is actually where the instrumentation on the satellites went out, but there was definitely an X 6.37 flare about 5 or 5:30 p.m. Central Time tonight. So this one and some of the stuff in between, this is where I think they're trying to say that the cyber attack and outages happened. However, I think it's more likely that because Starlink was affected as well, that it really is more to do with space weather. And like when I was watching the Timcast people talking about it, they kept saying, "Oh no, we think it's cyber attack. We think it's cyber attack." And they've had Ben Davidson and Jimmy Corsetti on the Culture War podcast, but not on Timcast. All of these non-expert people doing the same basic thing that Bill Maher does, where he's just, superficial level of thought only, speak casually, act like you know, fake it till you make it kind of attitude. That all the people on Timcast were saying as to why they thought it was actually cyber attack and not space weather. The reality is the sun has been going harder the last 36 to 48 hours than it has for the last 3 or 4 months. And a lot of communications that start off on a cellular or Wi-Fi system or connect to an optical, like T3 connection or whatever, in fiber optic lines on the ground, still get transferred from time to time to satellites and back. And depending on the geography of where the server farms are located and such, that, for example, most likely the server farms for all the services that had issues and went out were probably located in Southeast Asia, which is where the flare would be hitting at the time that the outage began. The other thing is that with this solar flare and with this this outage that may or may not be a cyber attack, there is a lot of confusion because they're using 24-hour military time, but they're also arbitrarily switching back and forth between Universal Time, UTC, which is Greenwich Mean Time, and localized time zone times without explaining what Universal Time is. So NASA, NOAA, the pundits, everybody is doing something wrong to confuse people more. So, yeah, the sun's doing crazy stuff. The solar max is just kicking in. And I have a feeling that there will, in fact, be a lot more things that resemble cyber attacks that are, in fact, space weather. I know last night during that flare, I didn't really have my internet on. And then afterwards, I tried uploading videos and eventually ended up having connection issues with the cellular home internet. So who knows? Nobody really knows. NASA, NOAA, any of those organizations aren't really being forthcoming. Also, they are run by the current administration. The people in charge of those organizations are appointed by the current administration. And as with the current administration, there is a lot of slack, a lot of style over substance when it comes to people getting the job, how they got the job, why they got the job, whether they are the right person for the job. So there is a fair amount of yokalism and just general stupid going on in a lot of the government agencies too. Oh, there she is. Hi, baby. She come running in going meow, meow, meow. And every time she does it, she's got one of these in her mouth. I love you, Sierra. So that's it for this video. I have another one, but I think this one's gone long enough that I'm going to go ahead and make a second video for it.